Okay, Sagy, before I get into the main stories for this week, I need to know, my feed is blowing up with announcements around remediation. It's either new companies coming up that are doing some kind of remediation, or it's old companies with new features. What is going on? I need to know.
So that's a great question. First of all, it's very positive, right? 8 years ago, nobody was talking about remediation, needless to say, auto-remediation. So it's positive. It's positive that as an industry, we are starting to focus on actually fixing things and not just discovering them.
Rob, I can fix it.
Yeah, well, I can fix it better.
Nonetheless, it can get confusing. So that's why we're here, right? So let's talk about our news.
Okay, I like your positivity. The first story we're looking at is out of the UK. Minimus launches with 51 million to cut 95% of CVEs. I want to know, who is this new kid? Where did they come from? Why do they have so much money? Am I crazy, or is 51 million for a seed round insane? What have they discovered? What do they have?
So first of all, I don't know if glad or sad to say, they're not new. Okay, so before they were known as Minimus, they were called Gutsy. And they created a technology that incorporated process mining into security, something that was never done before. But without going deep into this, they pivoted into Minimus. So the 51 million were based on the Gutsy idea, and they raised it in October 2023, if I'm not mistaken. So mainly, kind of in two words, Minimus is now a sort of an automatic golden image company, which I can explain more on.
Okay, so what's your verdict, hype or hope?
So I think it's yet to be determined. The idea is great, but I feel it will have some issues with scaling and the actual benefits to the enterprise customer. Here's why I think this is the case. So Minimus's technology, which they consider themselves as an AI-first company.
AI builds a better AI, which builds a better AI, which builds a better, which builds a better, which builds a better, which builds a better, which builds a better.
Creates a very light container and VM image under the premise that the underlying issues are with the OS being used and the vulnerabilities that exist within that OS. So they change the components to have components with less vulnerabilities. Essentially, their solution creates custom container images with only essential components, significantly reducing the attack surface by eliminating unnecessary packages and vulnerabilities. So again, based on their promise, by removing the unused components from the start, Minimus can instantly reduce vulnerability counts by up to 95% as they market, avoiding the traditional detect and remediate cycle. But, it's a big one.
Wow, the big one.
Does the fact that they remove 95% of the vulnerabilities mean that they are removing 95% of the risk? Not at all. I think that most of those removed would be vulnerabilities that would be deprioritized by the most basic vulnerability management system and be put on informational or low categories. So they are still left with the remediation needs, which Minimus does not do, at least currently. Also, with all the variations of different OS types enterprises have and the language variations, they don't do application vulnerability scanning or assessments. So again, the enterprise needs another tool for that. And they don't solve the misconfiguration problem either. So to summarize this part, Minimus essentially commoditized a task, which is making secure images, that some mature enterprises already do internally, like Netflix, Google, and so on, which is pretty much maintaining a minimal-based image.
Got it. So the hype or hope is still TBD.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Ready for the next story?
Absolutely.
Okay, but first, I need you to answer something honestly. The second story is about a direct competitor. On a scale of 1 to 10, I need to check. How unbiased are you going to be?
Conflict imminent. Chance of victory, 0%. Retreat.
Well, first I have to say that I'm always a skeptic when vendors seem to overpromise on anything. So my spidey sense is ready.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider.
So the next story was published in Security Boulevard about Tenable Watch. It says It goes on about reducing remediation time remains a challenge and how Tenable's Vulnerability Watch can help. Now, obviously, we know Tenable has a bunch of different products, right? Nessus is the scanner, and they also released a vulnerability management solution earlier this year. What is Tenable Watch now? What exactly does it do?
All right, so before I get into Tenable Watch, let me just acknowledge something. Tenable has a great scanner. They do a great job scanning all kinds of networks. We even integrate with them and are able to ingest their scanner output. Now, Tenable Watch is a feature within Tenable platform that classifies vulnerabilities by urgency to help large organizations prioritize remediation and reduce time to remediate amid overwhelming CVE volumes. So yes, another prioritization tool or method.
Let's just say, been there, done that.
Now, they introduced yet another language taxonomy here, which in my opinion will be difficult to educate their customer base, with questions like, what does vulnerability being monitored mean? Is it low? Is it medium? Do I need to do anything? If not, why are you showing this to me? In one of the articles, I actually saw that they say, or better yet, warn, that you still need to use the regular prioritization scoring like CVSS and EPSS, context, etc. And this is just another layer. Tenable Watch is a helpful prioritization feature that highlights high-impact vulnerabilities, but it only covers a subset of CVEs reviewed by Tenable's research team. Its simplified three-tier system aids in triage, but may lose nuance and require users to understand the labels and what they mean. Since the labels are based on a judgment call, there's a risk of misclassification. Ultimately, it enhances prioritization, but doesn't automate remediation or fix the underlying security problems. So organizations must still adapt their workflows accordingly. And you know, on a personal note, if you haven't already bought a ton of Tenable products, let me know in my DM.
Not so subtle?
Just be subtle. Louise is about as subtle as a lead pipe.
Okay, so
Worth a shot.
always worth a shot. Okay, so hype or hope?
In this case, I think it's a hype. Since re-educating the market will be difficult and moving back from a 5-level prioritization scale to oversimplifying 3 levels. It will not happen in my opinion.
Okay, all right. Thanks for the breakdown, Sagy. I'm going to see you next time with new stories, and I'll also have that oath ready for you.